Before starting this video, let me tell you that if you want to make money and if you want to make a lot of money, I have a Skillshare link to my affiliate marketing masterclass for this new year, 2019. So if you want to check that out, you can click the link in the description and you will have 2 months for free on Skillshare if you use my link, only my link, right? So make money, go to my affiliate marketing class, and everything will be great. So let's start with the video because this is a very interesting video. Okay guys, I'm now continuing with the show. Let's see, other topic that I wanted to talk about was why are us conservative and liberals different, or why is always the political division between conservatism and liberalism, and why are they different, and why we can find differences between liberals and conservatives. Their lifestyle is different, their choices are different. Why is that? All right. So first of all, let's give this. I'm gonna do. Okay. So continuing with the show. God damn it. I'm not a political scientist when it comes to this stuff, but I do think that there could be a lot of explanations for that liberal and conservative brain difference. Because, for example, here in the conservative community, we all think liberals are stupid, basically. If you go to any conservative group and if you ask any conservative person, they'll probably tell you, liberals are stupid. You just are. And if you, to be fair, if you go and ask a bunch of liberals, what do they think about conservatives? Well, they're gonna tell you they're stupid. And again, here in the right and conservatives, we have this stereotype of liberals, of them being feminine or girly, or this transgender guy, dude, girl. That's one of our stereotypes about liberals in the country. Sorry about that. But yeah, as I was saying, here in we have our stereotypes about liberals, and conservative and liberals have their stereotypes about us. They imagine probably is this white southern dude with the Confederate flag, and he's probably fat, and that's and they're probably religious, and they probably live on a farm. That's probably one big stereotype about conservatives in the liberal viewpoint. All right, and again, they're completely valid. But my point here to make is there are a lot of difference when it comes to the liberal and conservative brain. And this is, for example, why liberals tend to live in the cities, all right, and why conservatives tend to be in the rural areas of the country, or the small towns. So let's start to think about that. Why is that? Well, for me, it's pretty obvious. All right, people in the cities tend to they obviously have a job in the city, and they tend to live in a community. Because obviously when you live in a city, you see a lot of people every day, and this is a huge deal because conservatives, or at least people in rural areas aren't used to seeing that many people. Especially in small towns or rural areas. Again, you don't see no one other than yourself and your family. Well, maybe a couple neighbors, all right? So you have this sense of community, If you ask people, they're going to identify with a country. And then, but if you go deeper, for example, Germans, Germans in Dusseldorf might be proud of their city, and the Germans in Berlin might be proud of their city, and there's kind of like a city rivalry. In back in my country, Mexico, yes, we were all Mexicans, but then when we were all Mexicans in a group, we picked our state, our favorite state, right? The state of Mexico, Hidalgo, Puebla. Like, we all picked the state because that's the state we identified with. And then even in the people from the same state, for example, people in the state of California, they might be grouped by cities. The San Diegans, some people even in San Diego might not love people from Los Angeles, right? And they have this little feud. And then San Francisco with San Jose, or other the Californian cities. That's what happens, right? Everyone in a city has this sense of community for your city. You love your city, and then you love your state, and then you love your country. Sometimes even your continent. I mean, Europeans versus Asians. And that's a way of seeing this issue, This sense of community. People who live in the rural areas don't have it as much, or at all. They think very differently. They think about themselves. They think about their family. They think about the people they love and they live close to. They might care about their neighbors, their immediate neighbors, but they don't care about a whole community because there is no community to begin with, or there is no a real community to begin with. All right, that's a big difference between the liberal and conservative brain, and that's how we think. Another difference is maybe the contact with more individuals. People again who live in the cities are used to a more diverse group of people. They might be used to seeing a lot of rich people and a lot of poor people, and they might see that wealth gap. All right, they might worry about those things. That's why liberals or the liberal brain support the more socialist policies. They tend to overthink about certain stuffs. They overreact when it comes to racism and gender discrimination or stuff like that. They definitely tend to do that. And the conservative brain, they don't have contact with that as much. They tend to live in communities they are 100% their race or 99% their race. Not necessarily white, though, although it tends to be that way. Obviously they don't have a lot of contact with this diverse world that liberals tend to have back in the cities. All right. So the reason for all that is that city versus rural America. Now, don't get me wrong, though. America is not technically a rural country at all. Right, we live with Republican rule, but only about 20 to 25% of the country lives in rural areas. Most of us live in cities. All right, and that's why the country, is turning more and more liberal. For example, if you look at a state like Illinois, well, then there's a lot of prairies and a big part of the country, a huge part of the state, is rural. Right. However, the state, when it comes to vote. To the elections, for example, I'm going to put the presidential election as an example, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. Why is that? Well, because Illinois, even though it has a lot of rural areas and a lot of sparse populated areas, the state is worth 20 electoral votes. Why? Because of Chicago, right? And the Chicago metropolitan area, which has millions of people, right? Millions of people. It dominates the state of Illinois, just as New York has 29 electoral votes, mainly because of New York City and the New York City metropolitan area. That's why those states have a lot of votes, because they have, either Chicago or New York. However, the rest of the state of Illinois, it's actually kind of red. A big part of the state of Illinois is red. However, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat because, well, they have Chicago, that's a very big city, a very diverse city, like a fourth Latino, a third black, and the rest is either white or Asian. Very diverse city, where there's probably a lot of poverty and a lot of wealthy people too in Chicago, and many amazing houses with a homeless guy in a corner, for example, right? That's why the liberal brain and conservative brains are so different, because we live in different environments. Now, for example, me, yes, I'm a city boy. I love my morning Starbucks more than anything. However, I was actually kind of raised in the rural part of the country, at least back in Mexico I'm talking about. And, I mainly grew in a rural state. That the city I lived in at the time had like 200,000 people. A very conservative state that actually, by now, it has never had a liberal governor in the state or even in the city. They just elected the first women majors. But yeah, they usually live in a very conservative state in Mexico. And everyone, even the young people in my high school, no one supported really, at least I remember from the guys, nobody really supported gay marriage or stuff like that. Out of all my high school, which was a very large high school to start, only one guy was openly gay. Now, when I moved to the city, to another state, a city close to 4 million people in Mexico, one of the largest ones, I think in the top 3 of the cities in Mexico, everyone was very liberal, everyone. Everyone was super liberal and openly liberal. And, if you were against gay marriage, you were pretty, you were fucked, basically, if you were against gay marriage or stuff like that. That's a huge difference that I saw, and again, you can view it yourself. But anyway, man, I made this video quite long. But let's keep talking. Let's keep in the show and let's talk about issues. I have a lot more topics to cover right now.